Hello viewers and welcome to part 2 of our GT Academy 2013 experience, the international finals. And so now it's time for a briefing. Some of the journalists here, we're all going to be getting their opportunities to go out in the cars, so they're giving us some tips on how to drive the cars. And this would be a two-part challenge, a part of the racing in the real cars and part of the GT Academy in terms of racing on the GT6 which they had available for the process there. I was unable to climb into the car or the game due to having a bad back at the time, which was a great shame. Having said that, I did find it very uncomfortable in the Nissan 370Zs. I'm very tall, and so it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, I was very tall for the cars, but great fun, and certainly everyone was enjoying themselves as they were going out on the track and having a little race. And this was done in the southern part of the Silverstone circuit. I was having a browse around the garage. I would have liked to have competed, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Even in the game pod, it was very uncomfortable for me, unfortunately. But I did have some good fun just filming it all on the day and seeing the experience and enjoying it. The anticipation there. Even the journalists get incredibly competitive with each other and push harder and harder in the cars, not hanging about, which is good to see. Many of these journalists, obviously, they come from the motor industry as well. Before it was time for the look around the Silverstone Innovation Centre, and this is inside. This is just a little browse around areas we wouldn't normally see. We can see some of the cars there, signed, as well as the Brawn standing out there, Jenson Button, 2009. Because I see an engine. Let's run across, have a look at this Cosworth engine. Just because it's there, so when we would like to see some of that, so film a bit of that for you guys. And we had a tour of that centre, and this is all part of the journalist tour. We were looking at how they rate the drivers and what information and data they can get on the drivers. So they're looking at brain waves, they're looking at heartbeat, they're looking at reaction time, they're looking at where you're looking on the course, and we'll look at a bit more of that in a moment. They're comparing different laps. So you can see they've got enormous amounts of data that they can compare on your lap times, what you do under pressure, how you react. So much data that they're picking up on all the time, and then they're training you, and then they're sending you out and getting you to do the same tests and looking at how you improve and how your mind works and calculate certain situations and how it affects you and what stresses you, and how you react under stress, under pressure, how you keep calm when you need to. Before I look at the simulator, which also analysed where you were looking, so they could see whereabouts you were looking towards the apex. Were you looking at the right part of the apex? Were you looking at the braking markers? What were you looking at in the car? And so they gave us demonstrations here of the braking markers in action, besides of course their telemetry data which they have in detail. As I understand it, this is probably R-Factor Pro, but I can't be certain on that one. But either way, there's the data there where they could see where drivers were looking towards the corner, what they were looking at, and that would move constantly. Before we had a chance ourselves to have a go, and this is myself there. I'm too tall, but I managed to squeeze in. They took the seat out for me, which wasn't, again, the best for the back, and I'll explain that in the next episode, especially with the brake pressure. Brake pressure was significant. You literally had to push your back into the seat to get the thing to slow down. Certainly very tough braking, but I had a run around Silverstone. We only had the 2 laps on this demo, but it was certainly good fun. And the next video we'll look at this whole run in a bit more detail, where I just can share this experience with you guys. Alas, when it came to the Gran Turismo game, I wasn't able to fit into that quite so well. As I come down and finish this, I believe this is my second lap on the course. But certainly an interesting experience. I was a little bit too tall for this pod, so my head is somewhere probably in the way of the airbox, but I'll discuss that more in the second run, as well as some no comment, just letting you hear the pressure and sort of stress between the journalists themselves, even competing between each other in the room, which was always good to see. So certainly everyone was having good fun. We had other tests as well to do with body weight and everything else that they find out about the athletes to make sure they're in tip-top condition and what they need to work on. But that was it for part 2. You can click on any of these links here and take a look at other aspects of the GT Academy on this 5-part adventure, and there'll be more from me very soon.